you haven't been, it's surprising the scope and scale of it. It's giant. It's a giant. It takes 3 days to see everything, and there's so many photo shoots going on the show floor. And this is something that, go back 10 years ago, you were lucky to see one or two booths that had someone, a model or a car or a motorcycle or something set up. And now you're more likely to see, 80, 90 booths with all kinds of setups and photography. And you walk up and they've built these elaborate setups and things. I saw somebody with show dogs, like really, really beautifully groomed show dogs. And you could just walk up and take pictures. And, they had all kinds of still lifes, and they had models in every kind of amazing, setups with these elaborate just backdrops and stuff. There was a really convincing one that it was a full-size, London telephone booth or English telephone booth with, the Elizabeth Tower. That's the proper name, by the way, renamed for Her Majesty's 75th Diamond Jubilee. Anyway, so Big Ben basically in the background, also known officially as the Elizabeth Tower. And it was really well done. I mean, you looked at the shots and it looked like they were there. It was really well done. There's just a lot of things like that. As you walk around the floor, there were just people shooting everywhere. So there was a ton of education, a ton of photography, opportunities to shoot already lit sets with professional models and professional sets. It's a great, great show. It's got to be the value of the year. Like, where else can you pay that little amount of money and for 3 days just have an amazing experience, photo shoots and classes and education and seeing all the latest new stuff, playing with all the latest new stuff. Nikon had a setup where they had all of their long lenses, and you could just go up and just look all the way across. You could see what's a 600 look like, what's an 800 look like. They had lots of cool stuff everywhere you went. There was just, more stuff to do. It's a wonderful show. It really, really is. It's underrated because it's really a brilliant show.
Yeah, there was lots of fun stuff. There was this whole set that was an upside down room. Did you see that? Where they had a table on the ceiling?
I saw pictures of it, but I didn't see I never went by that actual booth, but I saw people posting pictures from it.
Yeah, there's so much fun, like models dressed in like flowers. There's so much stuff going on. It was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, all the stages, from an educational point of view, it was amazing. When you could, no matter whether you wanted to learn about, studio photography, lighting, Lightroom, Photoshop, even, video editing. There's so many things that were going on, even business related matters, whatever it may be, there was education to be had. And given that if you're a pro, you get in for free, that's even more amazing. I mean, it's the ticket prices are not extortionate anyway, but I bet there were a lot of people on free tickets in that show.
Well, yeah, you had to apply, right? You had to apply online, and but it was a simple questionnaire. It was like, what do you do? And it was pretty simple. And they were like, you're approved, and you get the ticket. I was one of the speakers, but they still, for some reason, they made me register. I'm like, okay, so I went and did and I'm like, okay, but it was that's a really unique aspect that but that shows you what they're trying to do. They want to attract high quality people, so the vendors have really qualified. They don't want a bunch of tire kickers, people that are just kind of looking. They want people that are really interested in their products and really, want to advance their careers and, their business and invest in their business. So the quality of the attendees there from a vendor's aspect has got to be through the roof. It's really got to be phenomenal.
And the quality of the speakers on all the stages was phenomenal as well. It's just, you just don't get an opportunity otherwise to see such high caliber speakers like yourself, for example. And so again, from a take home aspect, like educationally speaking, it was amazing. And also, I thought that the Monday, which is usually known as the pro day, because they always assume that the general public would come over the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, and then Mondays would be professionals. And usually in the past, from experience, it was always, well, the Monday, probably the footfall is going to be a little bit lower, but actually it was packed. Ooh.
I thought it was going to be kind of empty on Monday. It was packed out. Yeah. It was a very, very busy show. And you're right. I got to watch a number of different presentations because there's all these different stages. And there was like a stage just dedicated to live shoots. And I watched a very interesting, I wish I could tell you the instructor's name. I came in the middle of the session, so I didn't get his introduction. But he was having people dunk their face into a pool of water. So he had a plexiglass rectangle with water in it. And then he had a light under it and a camera mounted under it. And so you would get a picture. He would get people out of the audience and they would put this thing over their head and they would dunk their face. And then he would take the shot. But it really made fascinating portraits lit with gels right underneath. And you could see, you look at that and go, well, yeah, you could do that. Yeah, the water's not splashing anywhere. It's not making a mess in your house or anything. And it's just, plexiglass is luckily pretty cheap. You can go to, I don't know what you would call it in the UK, but in America, it's Home Depot is where we go. And you can buy, 3/4-inch plexiglass, $20 a sheet. Or excuse me, yeah. 20 quid a sheet. So anyway, you could build this little enclosure and dip your head in a couple of gels, and it made for you really, really unique, because people would stick their hand in there, blow, and then there'd be bubbles coming out, and guys with beards. It was really just stuff you're not going to see anywhere else. You're like,
what that reminds me of?
Out of that.
That reminds me of, I used to have a dog. Well, I still have a dog, but back in the day, I used to have a Dalmatian. And his party trick was that if you threw one of his treats in his water bowl, he would dive for it. And it was the most hilarious thing because he would breathe out as he was trying to get to the treat at the bottom of the bowl. And then at some point, we used a glass bowl so we could watch him with half his head out of it. It was hilarious. I mean, I'm hoping the animal rescue people are not listening, but he had fun. It was fun,
Oh, no, I'm sure he loved it. Dogs are highly motivated by treats. They'll do just about anything.
Absolutely. I always thought that would make an amazing animal portrait series.
Yeah, would have. That'd have been great. Yeah.
What was your favorite thing about the photography show?
Well, for me, it's seeing people I haven't seen in a long time, right? So the pandemic kind of, so I got to see people that I'll see online, right? Or that, but I don't get to actually, interact with them unless you're there. And I think that's one of the wonderful things that a show like the photography show does. It brings us together. We need community. And yeah, we're able to do Zoom and we're able to do calls like that and stuff. And it's nice. And it's a great substitute for the real thing. But, relationships are made in person and you can do a lot of things by email and text and all that. But in-person contact is where relationships are really formed.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed that clip, then press here for the full episode in glorious Technicolor. Hey, and don't forget to subscribe.